In a time not too long ago, our world was alive, a vibrant tapestry of color and sound. The skies were clear, the seas were blue, and people lived, laughed, and dreamed, navigating the usual struggles and joys that defined humanity's tale. Life was beautiful, or at least it seemed so. But then, one fateful day, they arrived. They called themselves the Travelers, and that name echoed everywhere. Across media channels, whispered conversations, and in the fearful glances exchanged between strangers. Cloaked in promises of peace, these aliens brought technology beyond our wildest dreams. They looked almost human, but there was something off. A foreign sharpness in their features, narrow faces, shimmering skin that shifted under sunlight, and eyes that seemed to pierce right through you. Their ships hovered over our cities, massive and dark, casting shadows that sent chills down our spines, even on the warmest of days. The ships themselves were both mesmerizing and terrifying. Enormous metal giants with no visible engines or entrances, marked with strange glyphs that glowed and shifted, as if alive. When their leaders first spoke, their voices were soft, melodic, almost hypnotic, offering cures for diseases, solutions for climate change, and endless resources. Many welcomed them as saviors, ready to embrace this new wisdom. But there were whispers. Those who felt an unshakable unease, sensing something sinister beneath the travelers' polished promises. Yet, those voices were quickly drowned out by a flood of admiration. At first, the travelers seemed like benevolent caretakers, sharing technology that improved daily life, healing the sick. Then, they revealed a new solution to climate change, an atmospheric treatment. They called it the cleansing mist, an elixir to reverse pollution in our air and water. Cities were blanketed in a soft, shimmering fog that lingered in the air for days, carrying an odd, metallic scent. But this mist was far from what they promised. It wasn't long before people began to change. It was subtle at first, a slight fondness for the travelers, a dulling of suspicion. But as the days passed, those who had mistrusted the aliens became strangely docile, even obedient. Resistance faded away as, one by one, people grew entranced, eager to serve their alien overlords. Soon, the travelers seized control of the world's most powerful nations, taking command of our arsenals and resources. Those immune to the mist, the last sparks of humanity's resistance, watched in horror as friends, family, and neighbors were converted. They tried to fight back but were outnumbered and outgunned. The world fell completely under alien control. Then, without warning, the nightmare worsened. Those under the travelers' mist began to change. A nervous tremor here, a flash of anger there, an animalistic flicker in their eyes. Before long, sudden, vicious attacks erupted in towns and cities. Individuals would snap, muscles taut with a strange strength, launching themselves at the nearest person, clawing and biting with savage fury. The travelers, confident in their control over humanity, were now faced with a horror they hadn't anticipated, a new plague of pure violence. The infected moved with terrifying speed, agility beyond any normal human. They clawed and bit, and every bite spread this darkness to its next victim. Infected humans shrieked in eerie unison, descending on others in a mindless rage. Families turned on each other, neighbors tore each other apart, friends became enemies in a frenzied bloodbath. Those few who resisted the mist could only watch as loved ones transformed before their eyes. Worse, the infection didn't stop with humans. Alien guards, scientists, and diplomats found themselves under siege. The infected tore through the aliens' armor and defenses with bare hands and teeth. Advanced energy shields flickered uselessly against the infected's relentless attacks, their weapons barely effective. Desperate, the travelers fired into crowds, trying to hold them back, but the infected marched through alien fire, bodies smoking, eyes burning with fury. They were unstoppable, save by fire or dismemberment. Within days, entire cities fell. Isolated attacks became a wildfire of violence. The infected poured out of towns and cities in packs, hunting both human survivors and alien invaders. Entire blocks burned as desperate groups tried to contain the chaos. But it was too late. The infected, immune to pain, tore through barricades and overran alien strongholds. The travelers, now desperate, attempted to fortify their landing zones, hoping to escape. But as their defenses crumbled, the infected surged, slaughtering everything in their path. Even the aliens' largest ships, towering monoliths of metal and technology, were overrun as infected humans broke in, spreading their violent infection among the aliens. This wasn't survival, it was a relentless, insatiable rage. Packs of infected roamed the countryside, spreading destruction day and night. They didn't rest, didn't tire, driven by an unquenchable thirst for violence. They became a plague, leaving towns and cities empty, moving from one settlement to the next, hunting anything that moved. The travelers could no longer control what they had started. Panic spread among them as they scrambled to issue new orders, but communication was cut off before any instructions could be followed. The beings who came to enslave us were now just as trapped, helpless against this relentless swarm. Earth had become a battlefield of terror. In this chaos, the last remaining human survivors, the few immune to the mist, abandoned homes and cities, retreating into the dark safety of caves and mountain bunkers. From the shadows, they watched as the infected flooded streets that were once familiar, now twisted into a nightmare of blood and ruin. They learned that even the faintest noise could draw the infected to their hiding places. Survivors moved in silence, whispered only in darkness, and traveled only at night. Finally, the travelers, overwhelmed and horrified by what they had unleashed, abandoned Earth. Their ships, once symbols of power, retreated from a world spiraling into chaos beyond their control. They left humanity behind, to fend for itself in a world where civilization had collapsed, leaving only scattered groups huddling in the shadows. Earth had become a wasteland. The only law now was survival, and the only constant was the endless, insatiable hunger of the infected. And so, the last of humanity endures, struggling every day to survive in a world reduced to a living nightmare. Supplies are scarce, and every trip to the surface is a deadly mission. The infected lurk around every corner, immune to exhaustion, immune to mercy. In this new world, humanity teeters on the edge. And yet, amidst the horror, stories of resistance and survival circulate among the last of us. Tales of fighters who discovered ways to defeat the infected, of groups who have managed to build fortified communities, offer glimmers of hope. But for every victory, there are countless tragedies, reminders of the world we lost, and of the alien invaders who left us in this nightmare. So each day is a new chapter in this dark story, as humanity fights for a future, for survival. The world is a hollow shell, a hostile wasteland, but humanity endures, waiting for a day when, maybe, it can reclaim the Earth from this monstrous shadow. As the infected roam, and the remnants of humanity fight for survival in a world torn apart, the question remains: will we ever reclaim our planet, or has Earth been lost forever to the darkness within? Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tales of horror and survival. And remember, the true nightmare might be closer than you think. Stay safe, if you can.